Let me shoot straight with you. If your days feel like they're running you instead of you running them, you don't have a time problem. You have a routine problem. And until you fix that, you'll keep ending every night saying, tomorrow I'll do better, but tomorrow never magically fixes itself. It's built today. Here's the truth. Most people don't fail because they're lazy. They fail because they're winging it. They're hoping motivation will carry them through when motivation is as reliable as a wet paper towel. If you don't have a clear, repeatable routine, you're setting yourself up to lose before you even start. Your brain needs structure, whether you like to admit it or not. And the structure has to be something you can actually stick to, not some Instagram-worthy checklist that looks good but collapses by Thursday. When it comes to building a daily routine that actually sticks, the first thing you've got to understand is stability. And stability doesn't come from motivation, inspiration, or hoping you wake up tomorrow with more willpower than you had today. Stability comes from anchor habits, those few non-negotiable behaviors that lock your day in place like bolts holding a bridge. Without them, everything you try to build on top of your day slides around, collapses, or gets abandoned the second life throws you a curveball. Most people never stop long enough to notice that their days are nothing more than a patchwork of random actions. They wake up at different times, they eat whenever, they work whenever, and they crash whenever. Then they wonder why they don't feel consistent or in control. If your wake-up time depends on how many times you hit snooze, or if your morning routine depends on what kind of mood you're in, you're not leading your day, you're reacting to it, and reacting never builds confidence. It just reinforces the feeling that life is happening to you instead of you taking charge. Anchor habits are simple, but they are powerful because they give you a baseline. Think of them like tent poles. You can't set up a tent by just throwing the fabric on the ground. You've got to lock down a few strong poles in place first. Once those poles are up, the whole structure is formed. Same with your day. Without anchor habits, your schedule is fabric in the wind. Now, here's the straight truth. Anchor habits are not glamorous. They don't usually get you applause. Waking up at the same time every day, even on weekends, doesn't feel exciting. Drinking water first thing in the morning doesn't sound revolutionary. But over time, these boring actions are exactly what creates stability, and stability is what allows you to stack other habits on top. Without stability, nothing else has a chance to survive. People love to talk about their goals. They say, I'm going to work out 5 days a week, or I'm going to start meditating every morning. But if your sleep schedule is inconsistent and you roll out of bed at different times each day, you've already sabotaged yourself before the habit even begins. How do you expect to hit the gym 5 mornings a week if half the time you wake up groggy at 6:30 and the other half you're dragging yourself out of bed at 8:15? Your body and mind need rhythm, and anchor habits are what set that rhythm. You don't need 10 of them. You need 2 or 3 that are locked in no matter what. Think of them as your minimum guarantee for the day. Maybe it's waking up at the same time, writing in a journal and doing a quick workout. Maybe it's making your bed, drinking water, and reviewing your to-do list. These habits aren't about burning calories or checking boxes. They're about reminding yourself, I am in charge here. I set the tone for this day. And let's be honest, your anchor habits are not about perfection. They're about predictability. If your anchor habit is journaling every morning and you overslept one day, then you sit down and journal for 2 minutes instead of 20. You don't skip it, because the second you skip it, you send yourself the message that it's optional, and optional doesn't stick. Anchor habits must be treated as non-negotiable. Think about it this way. Do you negotiate whether you're going to brush your teeth? No. You just do it. That's the level you need to put your anchor habits on. Now, here's where most people trip up. They try to set anchors that are too ambitious right out of the gate. They'll say, I'm going to start waking up at 5 a.m. every day when they've been rolling out of bed at 80:30 their whole life. That's not stability. That's a recipe for collapse. Start small and realistic. If you normally wake up at 80:30, anchor yourself to 800. Once that becomes automatic, pull it back another 30 minutes if you want. Anchor habits should feel steady, not like a punishment. You want them to become so routine that you'd feel off balance if you didn't do them. That's when you know they're locked in. Another thing, anchor habits give you a safety net on the days when everything else falls apart. Let's say your schedule got hijacked with emergencies, or you were traveling, or the day just didn't go as planned. If your anchor habits are truly solid, you'll still have that sense of stability, because no matter what, you woke up at your set time, you moved your body for 10 minutes, you wrote down your priorities. You may not have crushed your whole to-do list, but you didn't lose the rhythm of your day. And that rhythm is what keeps momentum alive. Without anchor habits, 1 bad day can spiral into 3 bad days, which turns into a bad week. With them, you always have something to hold on to. At the end of the day, the point of anchor habits is not to make your life rigid. It's to make it reliable. You're not chaining yourself to routines. You're giving yourself stability so you can actually handle freedom. Because freedom without structure is chaos, and chaos is why most people feel stuck. When you master your anchor habits, you stop waking up asking, how am I going to get through today? Instead, you wake up knowing exactly how you'll start it. And once you know how to start strong, you've already won half the battle. If you really want to build a routine that lasts, you've got to stop pretending that everything in your life carries the same weight. It doesn't. Some things matter more than others. And if you don't consciously decide what those things are, your schedule will be hijacked by distractions, interruptions, and other people's agendas. That's where time blocking comes in. It's about grabbing hold of your priorities and putting them in your calendar first before the noise of the day can push them aside. Because here's the hard truth. If you don't run your time, someone else will. Most people drift through their day reacting. They check emails first thing in the morning, and suddenly they're buried in someone else's problems. They get a random phone call. They scroll on social media. They say yes to a meeting that didn't need to happen. And by the time they look up, the entire afternoon has been stolen. And the sad part is, the things that actually matter, their health, their family, their career goals, those get shoved into the cracks, if there are any cracks left. That's why time blocking your big rocks is non-negotiable. A big rock is the thing that moves your life forward. It's not busy work, it's not filler, it's not checking boxes just to feel productive. It's the meaningful work, the non-negotiable family time, the workout that keeps your energy high, the project that builds your future. If you don't guard time for those, you will lose them to trivial junk. Now, people resist this idea because they say they don't like to be rigid. They want to be flexible. Well, let me tell you something. Flexibility without structure is just chaos dressed up as freedom. When you block your big rocks first, you're not making yourself rigid. You're making sure the essentials get done. Everything else can flex around them. Imagine your day as a jar. If you fill it with sand first, all the little tasks, the scrolling, the errands, you'll never have room for the big rocks. But if you put the big rocks in first, the sand can still fill the cracks around them. This is not philosophy, it's reality. If you don't protect time for what matters, it disappears. Here's where accountability comes in. Stop lying to yourself about being too busy. You're not too busy. You're just not prioritizing. You had time to watch Netflix last night. You had time to check your phone 100 times today. You had time to gossip at work or scroll news feeds. Don't tell me you don't have time. Tell me you didn't make time. And the way you make time is by blocking it in your calendar like it's sacred. If your workout is a big rock, you don't say, I'll work out when I find the time. No, you block it in at 7 a.m. and you treat it like a meeting with yourself that you cannot cancel. If your big rock is deep work, you don't wait until your inbox is empty. You block it from 9 to 11 and nothing touches that time. If your big rock is family dinner, you block it at 6 p.m. and guard it like it's a board meeting. The mistake people make is trying to fit big rocks into leftover time. Leftover time is nothing but scraps. Leftover time is when you're already tired, distracted, or out of focus. You don't build a life on scraps. You build it by putting your priorities in first, when your energy is strongest, when your focus is fresh. And the beauty of time blocking is that it takes the emotion out of decision making. You don't have to ask yourself, do I feel like working on this project? No, you already blocked the time, so you just do it. That's how professionals operate. Amateurs wait for inspiration. Professionals work the block. Let me be blunt. If you looked at your calendar right now, I could tell you your real priorities. Because whatever's in there, that's what you've committed to. If your calendar is filled with other people's meetings, endless errands, and nothing that fuels your health, your relationships, or your future, then you're not prioritizing, you're people-pleasing, and people-pleasing never builds a life you're proud of. Blocking your big rocks is not selfish, it's self-respect. It's saying, these things matter to me, so I'm giving them my time before anyone else takes it. And yes, things will come up, emergencies happen, that's life. But if you've blocked your big rocks, consistently missing one block doesn't derail you. You've built a track record of honoring your priorities so you can recover. The real danger is when you never block them at all, then you're living on autopilot at the mercy of everything that pops up. That's not freedom, that's slavery to circumstance. Here's the bottom line, your time is the most valuable currency you've got, and every day you spend it. The question is, are you spending it on sand or on rocks? Are you investing it in what truly matters, or are you letting it leak out in meaningless fragments? Because a daily routine that sticks isn't built on wishful thinking, it's built on putting your big rocks in place first, every single day. And when you do that, you don't just manage your time, you lead it. And when you lead your time, you lead your life. One of the biggest mistakes people make when they're trying to build a routine is that they come out swinging like they're preparing for a championship fight. They decide they're going to wake up at 5 a.m., run 5 miles, Read for an hour, meal prep, meditate, journal, and learn a new language all in the same week. It looks great on paper, and for 2 or 3 days they're on fire, but then reality hits. Their body is exhausted, their brain is overwhelmed, and life throws in a curveball they didn't plan for. Suddenly, the whole perfect plan collapses. And instead of scaling back, they quit entirely, because in their mind, if they can't do it all, then it's not worth doing at all. That all or nothing thinking is poison, and it's exactly why most routines never stick. The antidote to that poison is micro-commitments. A micro-commitment is a small, doable, repeatable action that you can perform even on your worst day. It's not about how impressive it looks. It's about building consistency you can trust. Consistency is like compound interest. It doesn't look powerful at first, but it stacks up over time until the results are undeniable. If you commit to 10 minutes of exercise a day, that may not sound like much, but 10 minutes every day for a year is over 60 hours of training. Compare that to someone who does a 1-hour workout 3 times in January and then gives up. Who's really ahead by the end of the year? It's not the person who went big and burned out. It's the person who made micro-commitments and honored them every single day. Here's the straight truth. Your brain is wired for consistency, not intensity. Intensity feels exciting for a moment, but consistency rewires your habits. Think about brushing your teeth. You don't stand in front of the mirror and brush for an hour once a month. You do it for 2 minutes every day without fail. That's why it sticks. Micro-commitments work the same way. They make the action so simple and accessible that you remove the friction, and once you remove the friction, you remove the excuses. You don't need to negotiate with yourself about whether you feel like doing it. The commitment is so small that you just get it done. A lot of people overcomplicate consistency. They think it requires motivation, discipline, or some kind of superhero willpower. No, consistency requires designing actions that are so small they don't scare you and so clear that they don't confuse you. Instead of saying, I'm going to start reading an hour a day, say, I will read 1 page a night before bed. Instead of saying, I'm going to cut out junk food completely, say, I will eat 1 piece of fruit before I touch the cookies. These tiny actions seem almost laughable, but they're powerful because they shift your identity. Every time you keep a micro-commitment, you prove to yourself that you're capable of following through. And identity, not motivation, is what drives lasting change. Now, some of you are thinking, that sounds too easy. I want real results. Let me tell you something. The results don't come from doing something massive once. They come from doing something small repeatedly. A micro-commitment is not the end game. It's the entry point. It's the gateway drug to consistency. Once you've stacked days and weeks of following through, you naturally raise the bar. 10 minutes of exercise often turns into 15, then 20, because you've already built the identity of someone who moves every day. 1 page of reading turns into 3, then 10, because you've already built the identity of someone who reads nightly. Micro-commitments are not about staying small forever. They're about making it impossible to fail in the beginning. The biggest objection people have is that micro-commitments feel too insignificant. They think, what's the point of doing just 5 push-ups? Here's the point, 5 push-ups every day beats 50 push-ups once a month. Small beats nothing. And the truth is, the hardest part of any habit is starting. If your micro-commitment gets you started, you've already cleared the biggest hurdle. Many times, doing the small version of the habit leads you into doing the bigger version naturally. You tell yourself, I'll just put on my workout clothes and walk for 5 minutes. Well, once you're outside, odds you'll walk for 20. But even if you don't, you kept your commitment, and that builds self-trust. And self-trust is the bedrock of every routine. Think about it. The real reason people struggle with routines isn't that they don't know what to do. It's that they don't trust themselves to stick with it. They've broken so many promises to themselves that when they say, I'm going to start fresh tomorrow, even they don't believe it. Micro-commitments repair that trust. They're small enough to guarantee success. And every time you succeed, you lay another brick in the foundation of consistency. Over time, that foundation becomes unshakable. And here's the kicker once you master micro-commitments. You actually free yourself from the perfectionist trap. You no longer need to chase the illusion of flawless performance because you've built a system that keeps you moving forward even when life gets messy. On the days you're tired, you can still do the bare minimum. On the days you're motivated, you can go further. Either way, you're consistent, and consistency wins every single time. So stop setting yourself up to fail by aiming for massive leaps you can't sustain. Start with micro-commitments. Make them so small you can't talk yourself out of them, and so consistent that missing them feels uncomfortable. That's how you build routines that last, not by going big, but by going steady. Because at the end of the day, it's not what you do once in a while that changes your life. It's what you do every single day. Even in the smallest doses, micro-commitments create that daily rhythm, and that rhythm creates results that compound far beyond what intensity ever could. Let's get real about something. No matter how motivated you are, no matter how well you plan, you are going to slip. You're going to miss a workout. You're going to blow off a morning routine. You're going to let distractions hijack your day. That's not me doubting you. That's just the reality of being human. The problem isn't the slip. The problem is what happens after. Too many people treat one missed habit like the whole system is broken. They say, well, I already missed the gym today, so what's the point of eating clean? Or I overslept this morning, so I've already ruined the day. I'll just start fresh Monday. That is catastrophic thinking, and it's why most people live in a cycle of starting over instead of building momentum. What you need is a reset button, a simple, reliable ritual that helps you get back on track quickly, without the guilt spiral, without the drama, without waiting for some magical new beginning. Think about your phone or your computer. Sometimes it freezes up, glitches out, or runs slow. What do? You hit reset. You don't throw the whole device in the trash. You don't declare technology doesn't work for you. You reset it and you get back to work. Your routine needs the same thing, a built-in mechanism that allows you to recover fast when, not if, things go off track. Because here's the truth, success doesn't come from never falling. It comes from how fast you stand back up. If you've got a reset button in place, you never let one bad day turn into two, or two into a week, or a week into a full-blown collapse. You recover before the damage compounds. Now, the reset button doesn't need to be complicated. It just needs to be consistent. For some people, it's a nightly review. Before they go to bed, they ask themselves, what worked today? What didn't? What are my top 3 priorities for tomorrow? That 5-minute ritual clears the mental clutter and gives them a fresh start every morning. For others, it's prepping clothes, setting out water, or writing a quick list the night before. The point isn't the exact action, it's the fact that you've designed a ritual that says, okay, reset. Tomorrow, I'm back on track. That one action prevents guilt and procrastination from gaining momentum. Here's the straight talk. If you don't design a reset button, you will default to shame. You'll tell yourself stories about being lazy, about never being consistent, about always messing up, and shame never fixes behavior. It just drags you deeper into avoidance. A reset button short-circuits shame. It gives you a constructive action to take instead of beating yourself up. And once you take that action, your brain shifts from, I failed, to, I'm back in control. That shift is everything. Think about the athletes you admire. The best ones are not the ones who never miss a shot, never fumble the ball, never lose a race. They're the ones who recover the fastest. They don't dwell on the mistake. They reset their focus and keep playing. That's why they win over time. Your daily routine works the same way. If you build in recovery, you keep your momentum alive even through the setbacks. Without recovery, every mistake feels fatal, and you eventually give up. One of the smartest ways to use a reset button is the never miss twice rule. The idea is simple. You're going to miss once, but you don't miss twice in a row. If you missed your workout today, fine, but tomorrow you get back in the gym. If you overslept this morning, fine, but tomorrow you're up on time. That reset rule alone keeps you from slipping into streaks of failure. Missing once is human. Missing twice is a choice. A reset button reminds you to choose differently. And let's address something important. You need a reset not just for daily routines, but for your mindset too. Sometimes your energy is off, your emotions are heavy, or you just feel stuck. A reset can be as simple as taking a 10-minute walk, writing down what's bothering you, or even doing a breathing exercise. These little resets break the cycle of spiraling thoughts. They put you back in the driver's seat mentally so you can show up for the rest of your routine. The truth is, recovery is where resilience is built. Anybody can stick to a plan when everything is going right. What defines you is what you do when it's going wrong. If you collapse, throw away the whole system and wait for Monday or next month to start over. You're training yourself to be fragile. But if you've got a reset button, you're training yourself to be durable. You're proving to yourself that setbacks don't define you. They're just speed bumps, not dead ends. That confidence compounds, and before long you stop fearing failure because you know you can bounce back from it. At the end of the day, you don't need perfection to create a routine that sticks. You need persistence. You need the ability to reset quickly without drama, without self-sabotage. Your reset button is the safety net that keeps you moving forward no matter what. So stop expecting flawless streaks, stop punishing yourself for slips, and start focusing on recovery. Because the people who win at this game are not the ones who never fall. They're the ones who hit reset and keep moving.